ordinary people, extraordinary experiences. This is the Nobodees Podcast with Ben Reed.
Welcome to the Nobodees Podcast, where we chat with ordinary people who have extraordinary experiences. I'm your host, Ben, and my guest today is none other than my amazing, beautiful wife, Rebecca, who I normally call Becky, but for this medium, we'll keep it professional.
Okay.
Because Rebecca is kind of your alter ego.
That's probably fair enough. You know me as Becky, though, and not everybody does.
So what is Becky? What's the difference between Becky and Rebecca?
I feel like you could probably answer this really well, but the probably easiest line that I've drawn between Becky and Rebecca is like, Rebecca is my professional alter ego, and she's very put together and she's on top of it. And Becky just gets to like let her hair down and be a little bit more fun. And that's definitely how you met me. It was like that little college girl who was figuring things out. But now I think I've matured into Rebecca.
Yes. You're definitely the fun one in the relationship. However, I really believe I've become more fun since marrying you. I have been known to be a little intense at times and to be a little too serious. So I think you've definitely helped me with that over the last, 17 years that we've been married, almost 18 years, and over 20 years, like as a couple.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It is a long time. So that just kind of segues into a little introduction about ourselves. We have been married for 17 years. We have a 7.5-year-old daughter named Eliza, another daughter, Margot Ann, that you probably can't tell by the camera, but we are days. I mean, you could literally pop right now in the middle of this. You're due technically in a couple of days. What are you feeling like? How are you feeling about that?
Oh, very pregnant. It's funny. I know people talk about like you can't be just a little bit pregnant, but right now I feel very pregnant. If I were standing, you would really be able to tell. Yeah. There's a lot of baby in there.
There is.
I know we're both really excited. And it feels like, I don't know. We've had so much going on throughout this pregnancy between deciding to move, building a house, moving into the house the week of Christmas, with me at 9 months pregnant.
None of which I would recommend. We are crazy people.
Yeah.
Because we decided to build this house back in late January. So it's been almost a year since we decided to build the house. But then we had to move into a rental for 6 months. So we had to sell our other house, move into a rental. And then with delays, we were supposed to be in before Thanksgiving, which was great. But then we got in 10 days before Christmas. So it's definitely been a whirlwind. And we're in the new house. We're actually in our daughter's playroom, so you can't see it, but there's stuff.
There's toys all behind that camera.
Everywhere. But we are definitely excited about the new house and about the new chapter in our life. And just a little bit more, if you don't know, Becky is a world-class pastry chef. She's won cooking shows on the Food Network. She's been featured on other major networks. She's won a lot of awards here in Jacksonville. Been on magazine covers, really special talent in her field. Definitely the more attractive partner in this relationship. And she can also cook, which is just, I don't know how I got so lucky. I don't.
You did really luck out. When we were dating, I wanted to be a marriage counselor.
It's true.
We would have lived such a different life.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe we would have had bigger, better houses, and I don't know, stuff like that.
I don't know. I don't know if
faster,
marriage counselors make that much money, but
but it's very fun when I meet people and I get to say I'm a pastry chef and I get to make people happy with the things that I create. I love it. It's incredible.
Yeah. And I know you're my wife, but you really are amazing at it. And everyone who meets you knows that. instantly. Also with your food, you are just, I still think you're a little hidden talent, but we'll see.
Oh, thanks, honey. I'm glad that you still like my cookies after all these years.
They're the best. They're the best chocolate chip cookies in the world.
Does this mean I get to do your introduction? I didn't
Sure.
get notes. Ooh.
Sure. Well, yeah, you're not a note person. Like, I'm definitely the more detailed and organized one.
Fair enough.
But if you would like notes, well, no, let's just don't look at my notes, and we'll see how you do. Professional introduction. Go.
Ooh. Oh, no. Zero warm up, nothing. Rude. Okay. Well, I feel like some major highlights of what you've done professionally. It's like we both graduated from Wingate University, which is a very small university near Charlotte, North Carolina. You have won 3 Emmys. I don't even know how many Telly Awards you have. And at least 6? Am I close?
Yeah.
Okay.
Say 3 Emmy Awards, 9 nominations. Yeah.
Well, I think
the thing right now is, though, I have my own business. So I do sports productions. This is why I have a lot of, obviously, the podcasting equipment, the camera equipment.
I'm not going to introduce you in a nice, concise way at all. That would have required notes. Sorry, honey. I'm very proud of you, though. I genuinely am. I think it's incredible that you can take something like an idea and make it a whole TV show. And it's not just like you snap your fingers and it happens. You are so great at doing everything behind the scenes to coordinate the team, to logistically get them where they need to be, and then to execute the thing with so much like vision and heart and depth. And I think that's what makes you really special and really good at what you do.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. But it's not any different than you coming up with your idea for a dessert and testing it and rolling it out. I mean, even though we're in different industries, I feel like they're very similar. And I think that's why we've been able to be successful together, separately, but also together. Because if you had a normal like 9 to 5 corporate job, but I was working holidays and weekends and being gone for weeks at a time for different productions, like, you would not be okay with that. But because you have a kind of crazy schedule and you understand the ebb and flow of your industry.
And the creative process, because I think we both have a lot of like ourselves that we bring to our work. And if that bleeds over into personal time, or if we still want to talk about what's happening at work or an idea or how to make it happen, then I feel like we're both kind of there for each other.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, I always say, this is, what I tell people when they're like, oh, what do you think of my TV show or my film or whatever? And my first question is, well, is my wife going to like it? Because I think from a sports perspective, like, you're not a big sports fan, which is
Fair
fine.
enough. Fair enough.
Fine. I deal with sports so much. Someone gave me that bit of advice a long time ago. They were like, you do not want to marry someone who loves sports, because they're like, you're going to want to get away from it, which is great, because you nor Eliza are huge sports fans. So
no, but I do love a good story.
Consumed by it.
Yeah. I will never ask you like the nitty gritty details about the athlete that you're interviewing or following.
But I do know you're the litmus test. Because of your background in sociology, psychology, like, you understand people, you understand story, you can ask the right questions or say something even small, like, well, why did it do it that way? Or why is it structured like this? Or I want to know more about this or less about that. So it's always helpful to have you take a look. And I'm the best taste tester in the world.
Well, your daughter thinks that she's my number one taste tester.
That's probably.
But there's lots of things that she won't eat.
Yeah.
At this point.
But, as we've kind of gone through, we've had a lot of success. We've had some accolades thrown our way over the years. But honestly, I don't think we've really done anything together as important as the conversation that we're going to have today. It's not an easy conversation. It's a hard conversation. It's taking us months to get to the point where we can really even talk about it. And that topic, which is experienced by a lot of married couples, is miscarriage. And I know, infertility is kind of a hot topic. People have a lot of trouble getting pregnant, especially as, folks are older than they used to be when they start having kids. So statistically, there's a less chance for that to happen. But I feel like when a miscarriage happens, there's something about it that people don't want to talk about. They don't want to share that. And I know we've also struggled with that as well.
Probably especially me. I think it's easy to talk about accolades, and it's easy for me to talk about things that I'm passionate about and excited about. And it's easy for me to test a recipe behind the scenes and then present you with a beautiful masterpiece and share a fork and say, dig in, let's go. But it's a lot harder to share the process. And this is definitely, I'll try not to cry too much. It's not something, honestly, that if you had not encouraged me to have this conversation, there's absolutely no way that I would do it.
Yeah. And obviously, you're pregnant. Margot will be making her appearance in the next couple of days. So we know this already has a happy ending. But for you and for me, obviously, you're the one that experienced it more than I did, but
differently. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like physically, very differently. Yeah.
Yeah. Differently is probably a better way to put it. And I don't want to get too far down the trail here, because I want to talk about how, our background a little bit and what we thought about having a family and that sort of thing. But again, this is not a conversation we want to have, but it's a conversation we feel is necessary because people don't talk about it. And as I've shared my story with some of my friends, we found out that a lot of our friends and a lot of people that we had no idea about were going through the same thing. And I was just like, we got to talk about this stuff. As painful as it is, it certainly helped me to talk about it and to know that we weren't the only ones. And, there's people who have just traumatic stories of it, or, for us, it was fairly early on, but other people are way further along in the process and all that. So I don't know. I just feel like it's something that needs to be talked about.
I feel like there's things that just don't heal if you don't address it. And I think that's what motivates me to actually have the conversation that I don't want to have, because there's so many things that I could muster through and mentally flip a switch to turn off something that's hard and be able to repress it to move on. And this is one of the ones that it just gets me.
I know.
Every time.
Yeah. And if people who know us know that we are very private people, we share our things professionally on social media, but we don't post our daughter. We don't talk about personal stuff usually at all. We keep that very close to the vest, and that's a conscious decision, I think, from both of us and our personalities. We just don't want everything out there. So this is definitely something that is uncomfortable for both of us to do, because we, like you said, you want to be Rebecca, you want to be the professional, the buttoned up, and this topic gets messy, and it got messy, and it hurt, and it was painful, and we were vulnerable, and we had to ask for a lot of help, and we got a lot of help from friends and professionals, and that's not something we like to do because we're very independent people.
Yeah. Crying in public is definitely very low on my list of things that I want to do. But it's funny. I think part of it too is that we do have Margot coming very soon, and that is very, very happy and exciting, but it doesn't take away from, the pain or the grief of the story, like leading up to everything. So I think, like, as much as I don't want to talk about this, as much as I don't want to cry or like share those hard feelings, I think it is okay to go through something and not have it totally figured out.
Yeah.
Because I certainly don't. Oh, more tissues. Okay, I probably just need to take a big breath. Yeah, I do think it's important to be able to share something in the process, especially for somebody like me that does keep it buttoned up and does try to be fun and, covered in glitter and gold dust and sprinkled with sugar and having things with a beautiful, carefully curated bow tied on top. To share a bit of the process is probably way more relatable and hopefully helpful for other people too, because I certainly don't have it figured out, and I feel like there's a reason that we've gone through this.
Yeah, so let's kind of rewind a little bit. When we first got together, I think both of us were very focused on our careers, and it's not that I don't think, maybe we told people we didn't want to have kids just because we didn't really want to have to hear the questions.
Or definitely not when we first got married, because we were young.
Yeah, we were young.
I was very young.
When we moved to New York, people thought we were in a cult. That's for sure. Yeah. 22 and 25. So people thought they would get you off to the side at parties and be like, are you okay? Do we need to talk? Do we need to separate you two? It's not the case. That is actually a true story. And even family members were like, you guys are getting married too young. Whatever. It's worked out. 17 years. When you know, you know. But having a family was not top of the priority list, I think, for either one of us initially. Mm-hmm. And we were, focused on career, building that up. I mean, we moved 5 times in the first 5 years. We eventually land here in Jacksonville, and which we love. It's awesome. And it's, from your perspective, what was it? Was it that you didn't want to have them, or that you just didn't want to have them then?
Children?
Yes.
Oh, I think the thought of having kids was one of those, like, okay, when we're professionally to a certain level and we've saved enough money and we have more flexible hours in our schedules, and like when the stars align, then we could consider bringing another life into all of this. But it was like, how could I possibly be a mom plus hustle like I'm hustling? And I couldn't make that work in my mind. So we didn't. We were definitely not like strategically planning to have a child anytime soon.
But then 10 years into our marriage, Eliza popped up. Surprise. She was definitely not planned. But
I think it's really important when we have this conversation, because she may hear this one day, and I don't want her to ever hear us talk about how she came to be and feel anything other than so loved from the beginning, because she genuinely was. It was just also terrifying because it was not the plan that we thought that we were.
Yes. And PSA, kids, you can get pregnant while on birth control. Just PSA. They don't teach you that in sex ed class, but
I mean, they do. Well, they did in New York, not in North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina, we don't talk about it too much.
That's true, yeah.
But so we were actively not trying to have children.
Yeah, it was very surprising.
And it was very surprising in December of 2017.
Yeah.
So I guess we were 9 years in at that point.
Yeah. And I think that rocked our worlds in a big way because it was so surprising and just not what we were planning for. And we were doing, very different things. You traveled all the time. I worked every night and every weekend. We didn't have family nearby.
Yeah.
We had friends that had kids and we were kind of like, ugh,
Yeah.
what do we do with that? Like,
Yeah, we didn't have a lot of experience.
yeah.
And, and I'll be honest, like even after having a daughter for 7 years, I'm still not necessarily a kid person. I'm not the fun uncle. Like I try, I like my nieces and nephews, but I'm just still not one that seeks that out.
Yeah. I have a bigger appreciation for children, but I still love Eliza so much more than I love any other kid.
It's like, I like my kid. I love my kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I like her too, which there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was just not something that we even considered. So I think at that point, it was almost like a relief. Like, oh, we didn't have to, we weren't trying and it just happened. And then everything was so, not that it was a complication, but you did have like placenta previa. So that means you had to have a scheduled C-section. But like other than that, there was no issues with Eliza whatsoever. She was great and is still wonderful and a great kid.
And as far as that pregnancy went, I remember they told me I had placenta previa at my anatomy scan at 20 weeks.
20 weeks.
And the day before, I had run 5 miles, and they were like, "You should slow down." And I did after that. But like, I was feeling good, and I was like charging right along. Physically felt good. I threw up a lot. It was kind of gross, actually, now that I think about it. But there was no like complication or problem. And honestly, it was just like not a thought for me.
We just didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And we were just along for the ride at that point. I think we were deer in the headlights for a lot of it, just trying to figure out how to navigate this thing, pregnancy and having a baby. And it was just something that we had not, really planned on, as we keep saying. But it was just, I felt like the whole time we were somewhat in a fog or stressed because like, this is not part of the plan. God, this is not part of the plan. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I did not enjoy it like we hear a lot of other people say. The pregnancy part of it. Like,
it's funny for you to say that.
I enjoy having a kid.
Well, definitely. As far as being like nauseous and not feeling good and that part of it, that was tricky. I think the hard thing was like, God, I feel like you gave me this special talent in all these different ways. And then I felt like those professional opportunities were going to go away by being a mom or having like the shifted focus. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a little bit tricky to navigate because I was kind of scratching my head and like shaking my fists at the sky being like, God, what are you doing? And like, why would you give me talent or opportunity to not use it? But I think hindsight is 2020. And now like looking back, you can see that it was a part of the plan and I was being developed in other ways. And truly it has made me a better chef, which is funny because I was so scared that my professional life was over. And it was in a way, where it was, but
I would say that professionally we've had more rewarding experiences since Eliza came.
I definitely had better priorities as far as even prioritizing our family and you above other stuff. Gosh, I shower and I work out a lot less now than I did back then. And that's a dumb example, but
professionally, I was pushing you to try to get on Food Network or whatever years before Eliza. And, it didn't happen until after she came. And that's when I feel like things started rising for you. And maybe it was that efficiency of, okay, I've got to restructure my time or restructure my mindset.
Yeah, I can't stay at work all night long. I got to come home,
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just more of a story to tell when you have to have more grit to get through what it is that you're doing. And I think I was like the Grinch. It was like having a child made my heart grow a couple of sizes.
Yeah. You said that the other day, and I hadn't really thought about it, but you said Eliza taught us love, and I agree 100%. Not that we didn't have love for each other, but it deepened the love for each other, but also loving this now crazy 7.5-year-old that you can't imagine life without. And again, I'm not one of these, this is probably going to come back and bite me, but I'm not one of these people that I'm like, having a kid was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, I'm not in that camp. It's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. But there's like a big list of great things. In my relationship with Jesus, marrying you, having Eliza, there's like a hierarchy of these things, but it's not just like, oh, anybody that says that, you're just lying. You're saying that for social media perks or something. But
well, you're also not like such a like gooey gushy person either.
That's fair.
I don't think that's necessarily a fault, but yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like, and that was the thing that drove me crazy is like when you get married, then people are just giving you all sorts of unsolicited advice. And then when you have a kid, people give you all this unsolicited advice. And I truly believe like you got to figure out what works for you and your family, and then everybody else can just go scratch. And it's been hard to do that. You navigate all that with your family or whatever, especially if you have a different way of doing things. But yeah, people just get bad advice. It's like terrible advice sometimes.
I feel like the way people talked about children around us was also extra terrifying because we had friends that had kids that would talk about the sleepless nights and the throw up and the hand, foot, and mouth disease and like all of these gross, yucky things.
Unknown things at this point.
Oh my gosh. And like booger suckers and
which
it
you
was
still
just,
won't do, by the way.
but all this stuff. And then they would wrap it up with like, oh, but it's the most amazing thing ever. And it's kind of like, I just heard this laundry list of awful things. I don't know why your final sentence was, it's the most amazing thing ever. But
maybe
now
that's what they have to say to convince themselves. Like they hear the list too.
We were like, ooh, no, that sounds awful. It's kind of great to not have, any booties to wipe or diseases to catch or bugs in your hair.
But that's the thing. Like I feel if my friends who are having kids, younger guys I mentor or whatever, they ask me advice, I just keep it real. I'm a realist. Like people are like, oh, are you an optimist or a pessimist? Like I'm a realist. I keep it pretty much straight on the line. And I'm like, look, here's what you got to do. And here's what you're going to experience. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. This is what worked for us. And, some people have taken that and agree and some people haven't, and that's fine.
There is this like deeper love that you find as a parent. And like we were talking about, it feels like your heart grows in a way.
I got off on a tangent there.
You did.
I got off my soapbox, but yes, you're right.
And I think that was the beauty of it. And I did not understand it at all until we became parents.
Yes. And then, while we were, I think you were pregnant, we had some friends that had experienced miscarriage at the time. And we
were due like within a month.
Yeah. And what were your thoughts on it then? Like kind of before having Eliza, seeing a friend go through it, kind of from a a caring standpoint, obviously because they're our friends, but also from someone who had no experience with it whatsoever?
I think being the empathetic person that I am, it was hard to watch a friend struggle and go through such heartache. At the same time, I really didn't get it. And even though I was pregnant and in a very similar season, I just like mentally could not even like relate or understand what she was going through. And she was a close friend, so I heard a lot about like physically what it entailed. And even still, I mean, we've had other friends that have been through miscarriages or infertility where they're trying to get pregnant and it's not happening.
Yeah. And we deliver food. We watch their other kids if we need to. You try to help out as you can, but you just don't understand it unless you've been through it.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's like I really didn't get it until we were going through it, and I honestly don't want other people to even have to experience that depth of emotion. And if I could shield more people from it, that would absolutely be my goal. But yeah, it's honestly, I think one of the things that I felt in it that was tricky to navigate was that I felt dumb for being so naive and hopeful in the beginning, because I've had enough friends, go through this that like I shouldn't have been so floored, or
Yeah. But I think that falls back to what we were talking about initially was, we never had the period of trying for Eliza or like, all right, we're pulling the goalie. We're going to give it a shot. It just happened. And that was our only reference point was, hey, this just happened. And
getting
she
pregnant
turned
was
out
easy.
great.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? Like, who knows how easy it was? We didn't have any research or any data on that, I think maybe before that, let's kind of talk about, so we have Eliza, but we privately, we didn't really tell people this again. We started talking about having another kid. And I know it hit you before it hit me because I was like, okay, I'm good. I got one. I'm happy. She's good. But then, 2020 hits. That kind of pushes things. And then I think there were some things that we wanted to do professionally, personally, kind of before all this. So we basically punted it for a while.
Well, you're such a planner too. So I think you were like, we're going to go on this vacation to Paris that we had been planning for a really long time.
But we were supposed to go at 10 years. And obviously you were
COVID.
Well, no, for Eliza, it was 18. So
oh,
you were
that's
pregnant.
true. Yeah. Well, we had a little one.
Well, at 10 years, you were, 7 months pregnant? So we can't go to Europe.
I don't want to go to Champagne and not drink the champagne.
Exactly. Yes. And then COVID happens, and then we have this trip that we're like, okay,
let's go.
We have to do this.
But then I remember from your perspective, you were like, okay, logistically, it's going to be hard to have 2 kids in daycare, 2 kids in diapers and all of that. And I think the planner in you was like, okay, when Eliza is this big, then it would be a better time to like start planning for that. What's that sound?
It's the refrigerator.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is the funny thing. I always say this. It's like she sometimes can't hear me when we're on the couch together,
That's
but
true.
She can definitely hear a mouse fart in Indonesia. Like she has supersonic hearing at times.
Is that like an actual saying in North Carolina? Is this like a hillbilly saying, or is this something you came up with?
I think I just made it up. I don't know.
Okay, I've used it. Okay,
let us know if you put it in the comments.
Oh man,
like, subscribe, put in the comments. Is that a thing?
Have you heard a mouse fart in Indonesia? Because that's what you say. I don't know.
Maybe it's somewhere else.
Sorry.
Anyway, yes. So we do this trip to Paris, and that's basically when we're like, okay,
After this.
we're going to start trying.
And I think, honestly, for us, the start trying was just I got off of birth control. And I was on birth control and got pregnant. So I was like, all right, like this is going to happen fast. We weren't like timing anything, keeping track of whatever. It was just.
And I was more of the, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on this. Let's just see what happens. If that's what God wants, then that's what we're going to get. And
a couple years later.
Took a while.
Yeah.
And it was something that we were consciously doing, but not really talking or telling anyone that we were doing it. Because I remember people would be like, they'd be at our house and they're like, why are you keeping the car seat? Or why don't you get rid of your high chair? And it's like, oh, I'll see, whatever. We'll give it to some friends.
Yeah. I think that's also like a testament to our personalities and the way we do kind of hold our cards close. And I know for me, I didn't want to, put it out there. We're trying to have a baby and then, it not happen right away, or I don't want to like time it perfectly with a friend and then I'm not, I don't know. I felt like there was pressure around it and I didn't want to have to explain or play into it too much. Yeah.
Neither one of us really wanted to put the pressure on it.
And I think we honestly didn't even talk about it all that much.
No, we did not. Now, I do remember at one point I brought up, like, this might have been like 2 years into it. I think I was just kind of like, okay, I don't think this is going to happen. Like, let's just stop trying, and then that wasn't necessarily a great time period.
No, I wasn't happy about that comment.
No.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it was, I don't know. I mean, before Eliza, I felt like there was this impression that I had that we were going to have a child. And I had told you about that. Mm-hmm. And it felt really crazy and really weird. I don't know if God's ever like, spoken. I've like read my Bible and felt, different things or like understood that I was supposed to do something specific, but like this was an odd one. And it came when we had first moved to Florida and we were definitely like so far from thinking about a child or any of that. And we had kind of like brushed it off. And I was very much like, that was really weird. And maybe it was a metaphor for something else, or I was trying to like explain it in a weird, different way, but the impression had just like never left. And then I think when you were...
Well, I don't think you told me about that after we had Eliza. Or it was either you were pregnant with Eliza. You do have this tendency to like not share pertinent information from time to time.
I wouldn't say pertinent, but like I will hold my cards pretty close for better or worse. I don't know.
Like the other day we're driving to church and you're like, oh yeah, I had a dream last night that my water broke while we were singing praise and worship music at church today. And I was like, and you couldn't have said that so we could pack a bag,
Well, I don't know. That was Christmas Eve.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
I did say that. But it's funny. I remember when we bought the pregnancy tests for Eliza in the car on the way back. I was like reading the back of the box and I was like, I had a dream last night and there were 2 pregnancy tests in the box and both were positive. And I was like, and this one has 2. I had never...
Like, you couldn't have shared that information before we... Because that was funny. That was... You woke up... I think your parents were there, and the second they left, you turned around and you said, and granted, we are not trying. I have no idea. And you're like, we need to go to the grocery store and get pregnancy tests right now. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And then the thing not to say to your spouse, because I had been traveling a lot, I was said, well, is it mine? which I thought was a valid point because, I mean, I had not been home very much.
No.
But Stranger Things, season 1.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No way, man.
Yes, it was mine.
Yeah.
The math works out.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. That was
But
wild.
so
Fast
forwarding, we tried for 3 years, and at the beginning of 2025,
yeah,
we were like, okay, it's not gonna happen. We gave the baby stuff away.
I did. I think if I'm being honest, I was kind of mad at God, and I was like, okay, I held out for you and I did my part. And like, I was, you know what I mean? Like in our relationship, I wasn't going to, like count the days and hold you down. And, that was just like not what I felt like would have been great for us in our relationship and all of that. So I really didn't push there. I wasn't trying to do IVF or, do anything other than what we were doing to get pregnant. And I felt like I had this moment with God where I was like, okay, like I was trying to be faithful here. And if you're not going to make it happen, then I'm going to give away all the stuff. And I remember I gave away things like in increments. It was like, I gave away some baby books, and then it was like, the things started getting bigger and nothing was happening. And I was like, fine.
Yeah.
Take it. Fine. I'll move on. I was trying to do what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And if that's not it, then fine.
Yeah. So basically, everybody cleans out their house and garage at the beginning of the year, and we just cleaned it all out. And we gave a lot of the big stuff to some friends who have grandkids. So we're like, at least they're getting some use out of it. I know there was a lady at your work that was pregnant, and we gave some stuff too.
Gave away all my maternity clothes, all of that stuff. And it was like a secret drawer in a guest bedroom that I had been holding on to. And then, got rid of the whole thing.
And then at the end it's funny. We were supposed to go to Napa with our fancy wine friends, Paul and Amy, middle of January last year. So like pretty much a year ago.
Yeah.
And there was this crazy winter storm that was.
And fires. It was like.
Yeah, there were fires and then crazy winter storms.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And we knew, like, we're connecting to Atlanta, and we knew it was going to get crushed. And I was like, look, we're only going for like 3 days anyway. It was a quick trip to Napa. We can get out of it right now. I think we're going to get stuck in Atlanta. My spidey senses were like, we're going to get stuck. So we canceled it. And I think we went to Fernandina for a day trip, and we would have gotten stuck because it just shut Atlanta down.
But I said something like, I was like, oh, I kind of feel strange.
Yes. So we take this little day trip up to Fernandina, which is a great little town just north of Jacksonville here. And yeah, you were talking about feeling weird, feeling strange. And then I want to say that Monday was a holiday. This is probably is that MLK or President's Day? Probably what's in January? I can't remember. Anyway, you were like, actually, I think you went and did it without me. And you're just like, hey, I'm pregnant.
You were out of town or whatever it was. And I was like, I'm going to get a test. I just have to know. I just have to know. And I did it. And then.
So that was the second time around.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Anyway, find out you're pregnant at the end of January. And we had started the process of looking for a house because we'd kind of been looking.
Well, your parents moved down here, very close to where we are now.
So we had kind of started looking at houses, and like, okay, we're having a baby.
Perfect
Let's go
timing.
Get a house. We kind of felt like it was the right time for us to do it for many different reasons. So we're like, all right, we're going to do this house. Boom, boom, boom. Sign the paperwork.
It was like a lightning bolt of clarity with the finding out I was pregnant. We had talked about moving to a bunch of different places around town. We had looked at a bunch of different things, and we like never had peace about following through with any of it.
Yeah.
And then we found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense for us to be on this side of town near your parents. Great time to sell our house. Like everything was
Get the
just
house
like
with
lining
the layout
up.
that
Yeah.
we wanted when we had Eliza. You're right. There was this clarity that
And like peace.
I've rarely had, peace and clarity. And we just knew exactly what to do. We just felt like we were in tune with what God was wanting us to do. It was just,
I felt like we had like favor and blessing, and it was like
here
just
we go.
green light. And
There's just so much joy. I think that's the thing I didn't realize was how happy I would be when we found out we were going to have another kid. Because I don't know if it was I was hedging my emotions a little bit, or I just didn't think about it, or it's, if you think something's not going to happen and then all of a sudden 3 weeks later it happens, there's just this unbridled joy that we both had. And there's this clarity, and we need to do this. And I mean, everything moves super fast because people were looking at us like, what are you doing? Because we haven't told anybody yet.
yeah, and
Nobody
people
knew.
didn't know that we were trying. And I think that was one of the things too. It was like, you don't realize how much you've secretly, wanted something to happen and thought about it, because we had been trying for years and really not even talking about it with each other. So then when that happened, we were finally like just, overwhelmed with joy. It was just really, really like happy. And I felt like for so many things, you take steps of faith and they feel like steps of faith because you really don't know what exactly you're walking into, and you think it's right and all of that. But this just felt like easy steps forward, and like we were walking in what God had for us.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And we were still, it's funny to say, like even after having another kid, like I think our naivety of, well, this is how things went for Eliza, and then our joy of this is finally happening, really didn't set us up well for what was about to happen. We went to a checkup. Obviously you went, you did the thing with the doctor. Yes, you're pregnant. We went to one of the checkups, and it was still very early. So it was like, 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, something like that.
I think it was like 6 weeks.
And we both thought it was like a little weird. We didn't hear like heartbeat, but then I don't know if it's the nurse
Doctor,
or the doctor was like, oh, it's super early. Sometimes you don't hear them till 7 or 8 weeks. Like, let's schedule you an appointment. And so we're like, okay. We like really didn't think anything about it. Just kind of like, okay, we'll go have an appointment or whatever. I don't know if that's how you remember that.
Yeah, I feel like we got like the ultrasound, printouts of your grain of rice, or, like the little dot and whatever. And you're just like really excited. And that was it. And I mean, I remember her saying congratulations, and I didn't think anything other than, wow, this is so exciting. We found out so early on, because I knew what it felt like to be pregnant.
Yeah.
This go
round. It
round.
was early. You knew what was happening. So it was really early.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't make it to 7, 8 weeks before they see the doctor the first time. But this, you basically tested right at a month and a couple of days, and then got an appointment in a couple of days. And then they were like, okay, well, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. And I had needed a new like primary care doc. So I had already been to another one, and I like peed in the cup, and that was confirmation. So then doing the ultrasound felt like more confirmation. And then, okay, we'll schedule you at the other location to hear the heartbeat in a week or whatever it was. And it was kind of like, okay, like great, we're tracking, we're doing it. Yay.
Yeah. And then we go into that appointment, and like the doctor comes in and says, and he's kind of got a serious look on his face, and he's like, all right, you're here to figure out the
It was like confirm viability. Yeah.
And then both of us looked at each other, and I was like, wait, what? And he's like, you guys didn't know? And I was like, well, that's not what they said at the other place.
Well, I feel like it was hard to, because he had a sentence and it was something like to confirm the viability or something like that. And it was like a very sterile phrase. Or that's how it felt. And I get it in a way, because it was like, okay, it's a very early pregnancy and we're trying to, confirm that is what it is. And, all of those things. I was kind of like, okay, like that doesn't sound good, but I was still tracking with everything could be fine. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah. And then, he does the ultrasound, and obviously there's not a heartbeat, and, he's, this pregnancy isn't viable. And I don't know the way, I mean, I'm not a crier, but I can't even describe what I felt like in that moment. And I don't know. I know for me, it was like a pit in my stomach, and it was shock, really. Pure, because you go from being so happy about this thing that is happening that you've waited for. You felt like you're in line, and then you just take a gut punch. And yeah. I don't even know how you drove home. I think we were both just in shock.
Sorry.
I mean, what were you? I mean, obviously, you were very sad, very upset. What were you kind of feeling in those moments? Maybe not even then, just in the next day or so, just kind of processing everything.
I think being in the doctor's office was just kind of a moment like I've not had before. It's like you hear songs or people talk about how a doctor can say one thing and it just totally changes the trajectory, or you get a phone call that just totally changes your life or something like that. This was one of those kind of watershed moments where the path that I was on crumbled before me. And then it was just gone. But I think, I don't know if I've ever had a moment like that where, sorry, I'll try not to cry too much. It was just a moment of, I wanted to, sorry.
Well, we've both been, I think fortunate in our lives where we've obviously had challenges and setbacks and that sort of thing. But I would say overall, we've been fairly blessed as far as health and all of that. We hadn't really
totally unscathed as far as major health issues or something like that would go. It was the strangest thing where I was like, I just wanted to press pause, go back 10 seconds.
Yeah. And I think we were both angry. You go through the stages of grief. That was what surprised me the most, was the grief that I felt. Sadness and grief. Obviously, you're watching someone you care about be very upset, and that's hard. I don't know. It was like, okay, you're pregnant, and I'm already envisioning the baby in the room, and there's a nursery and there's a crib, and we're throwing baseball or playing with dolls or whatever. Like that's where I was in my mind because of the experience we had with Eliza. And so just having this just the naivety of it. And I guess that's what it was, just being naive to the fact that this is so common, especially in people between certain ages.
You're calling me old. It's fine. My geriatric pregnancy. But that's what it was. And like statistically, this is not uncommon.
Oh, 1 in 5 is what they, and I will say this, obviously, he goes through the whole thing. It's like, you're just kind of numb. The doctor goes through like, here's what we're going to do, and this is what's going to happen. And then you can do this, you can do that. And I know like you eventually had to have a procedure done. But in that period of time, talking to your normal doctor, regular doctor, not normal doctor, regular doctor, she's like 1 in 5, like 20%. And we were just floored by that.
Yeah. And then when I thought about my friends that I know have been through miscarriages, I felt dumb for being as excited as I was so early on.
Yeah.
But
it was just a combination of, this is something that we had wanted. We thought it was over. We'd been going for so long. And that's not saying like, oh, well, we deserve to have a kid, because there's lots of people that never get to. I mean, I know like my mother had several miscarriages and they wanted another kid and they never got, you know what I mean? So like I've known people that, never had kids or never were able to, or people that wanted more and just weren't able to. And I think, not that I wasn't empathetic to that, but it just didn't register with me. It was just kind of like, okay.
yeah, I don't think I realized how badly I wanted that. And then as far as like faith in God goes, I don't think I ever put it into words, and I wouldn't have. But the way I was acting and like truly the thoughts behind my feelings, it was like, God, how could you let this happen to me? Like, why would you let this happen when we're trying to be faithful and I'm trying to be obedient to what I thought you were asking me to do? And then here we go, like, I get pregnant and I say, like, here I am, like, use me, like, as far as being pregnant goes and all of that. Like, it's a sacrifice on your body,
Yeah.
and thinking I'm like aligned with what I thought God had for me, and then to have the rug ripped out from under me, it was like, well, God, why would you like bait and switch me like this and disappoint me and break my heart?
Yeah. I was with you on that. It just didn't seem, it's like, yeah, how could you do this? It's like, this is what we felt like you wanted us to do. And we had this clarity and we prayed and fasted and did all these things. And, and it's not that, I think we had a lot of good works. We go to church and we help people and we donate financially and we support causes and charities. And for me, it was just kind of like, God, we do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, and this is what happens. Like, this is how you treat your people. Which is not really the way to think about it.
No. And it's hard because it's like, would I have said that my faith is totally contingent on things working out in my favor? No, but was that what I was feeling and how I was acting? Yes. And without having, gone through something really hard like that, you kind of don't get to the next level of faith or belief that is, I think, just really marked by a faith, which is that, you're not totally sure, but you are choosing to believe in God's good character and God's good nature. And if it was all about things working out and lining up and all of that, it wouldn't be faith or belief at all. It would be certainty.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of been my takeaway in all of this. Because I don't have it all figured out. I'm still sad.
Yeah, I don't think it really ever goes away. I mean, even though Margot is here, and we'll kind of get to that in a second, the pain is still there. It still hurts. I know the day of the original due date was a very sad day for both of us. Because you just wonder, like, what might have been, and I'll be honest, for me, and there's some other stuff we'll talk about, but we got pregnant fairly quickly thereafter, and it was like, what was the point of this? I think even after we find out Margot is coming, I was still angry because I said, what is the point? Like, why? Like, I don't know. Why would you put us through this amount of pain? Because it felt like a death. It felt like, obviously we haven't lost a living child, and I can't even imagine, just based off the way I felt about a child that was the size of a grain of rice or a little bit bigger. So yeah, it just felt like God didn't care. From my perspective, it was like, you want something so bad for so long, and you try to like hedge your expectations, and then it doesn't happen. Then it finally does happen, and then it's taken away for no reason. Yeah. And I really struggled with that.
I think it was hard for me too to know that like my body was letting me down. And then I questioned things. I was like, well, I wasn't taking a prenatal vitamin already. Was I getting enough sleep? Was I drinking enough water? Was I like exercising enough? Was I lifting too much? Was I, was I too stressed out about things? Should I have like replayed all of this stuff? And that was tricky to process too. Like, was God teaching me this like cruel lesson of you should have been better type of a thing? But then I think it goes back to like, that's not God's nature, and it's hard.
Yeah, we went back to church, but I'll be honest, like, we were singing songs, and like, I just couldn't sing them. There's the one song that is like, God, you've never let me down. Like, I couldn't sing it. I still can't sing it. And I'm not saying that God let you down, but I felt let down in the moment.
Yeah.
I still feel let down about it. Even I'm getting emotional about it because it just didn't feel like he cared. Because I felt like I had such a connection when all this was happening, and connection and clarity, and felt like doing the right thing. I feel like we're simpatico with God, and you really feel it. You go through seasons where, you feel his presence more than others. And this was very much like that. And then once that happened, I just felt like it was severed. And I didn't feel like it was necessarily severed from me, because I'm like, this is the only hope I got. We were going to church, we were going to group. We had started talking to people about it a little bit. very few people knew that you were even pregnant, because when we were sharing like close family, we hadn't even told some of them. So they're like, wait, what's going on? But I felt like
And I was also like, okay, that was a really bad, awful chapter. I don't want to relive any of this. Let's just not tell anyone.
well, you definitely are a stuffer, to use one of your psychology words.
Yeah, I will take my emotion and whoosh.
Yeah, you didn't want to talk about it at all. And I remember us having a conversation. I was like, I have to talk to somebody about it or I'm going to go crazy, because you didn't want to talk about it for obvious reasons. And I get that. I respect that. But then you didn't want anyone else to know. I'm like, I just can't do it. And I talked to 2 or 3 of my like close buddies and told them, and then found out, unbeknownst to me, that they had also gone through the same thing. One buddy, his wife had 1, the other, they had 2, while they were trying to have their 3rd son. So that was really strengthening to me, and really the impetus for why we wanted to do, or why I wanted to do this. I'm kind of dragging you kicking and screaming. But the other thing, and I wrote this down in my notes, and it's not to like really press too hard on the emotional part of it, but right at that same time, some close friends of ours were also pregnant, and they have 2 boys, and they were like, this is going to be our girl. We want a girl. We want a girl. And they had asked you to make the gender reveal cake. And you were the only person that knew that it was a girl. And you made the cake. And you had to deliver that cake a couple of days after we found out. And I think that, number one, I don't even know how you did it. I don't know how you found the strength to even do that. But number 2, I was just so angry. I was like, why did they get their dream and we don't? It was this weird juxtaposition of circumstance that I'll never understand. And maybe we're not supposed to understand. I mean, obviously we're a year, going on almost a year, and it's still hard to talk about. I mean, yeah, you did that and had to go do this big, like, all-day event, and you were not physically well, so I went to kind of help out and do whatever, and then then you ultimately having to have a procedure, and so then that kind of drums up everything again. I don't know. That's what I was kind of feeling. I don't know if you have a comment on that, or you were feeling similarly.
I think I was trying so hard to hold it together at work, and I just didn't want to talk about it. So it was really hard to do that work event and then to just be this weird shell of myself where I was like physically going through the miscarriage. But like turning it on for people so I could be there and do the thing. That was hard. But it was also, I think, something that I've done a lot, which is just like shift my focus to something else to get through it. And I think I like longed for something that I could control and be good at, because I can control the butter, flour, and sugar and getting it onto a plate. And that's what I did that day. And even our friends that were really wanting to have the girl, I remember it was this whole like video that played, and because I saw the whatever it was, like email from the doctor, I got to receive that, open it up, and see what the gender was. And I remember opening it, and there's like all of this build up of like, boxes being opened and blue and pink and all of that. And I'm like so hopeful for them. And then it was a girl, and I was so excited, and I like cried. my coworkers are looking at me like, you're invested in this one. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a friend of mine. But then, I don't know, I don't think it like hurt as bad. Or like, I was so happy for them to get what they wanted. But my thought was more like, what have I done wrong?
Yeah.
Sorry, this might be awful to listen to. I'm trying really hard not to cry so much.
No.
Can I have another tissue? Oh, I have them.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I think there was definitely a month there where we just kind of checked out.
I was a weird shell of myself. And I think with Eliza, too, I was really scared that something could happen to her or that God was doing something to reveal like maybe a sickness in my body. And I was really paranoid about a lot of things. And I was like, maybe there is some like good that comes out of it. And it's like, oh, we're going to find out early that I have ovarian cancer or like something horrific. And it's going to make all of this make sense and all of that. And that hasn't come.
Yeah. So one of the things I did kind of want to talk about was this experience we had at church. I think people know that we are Christians and we believe in God and try to pattern our lives, in that way. And we go to church and we try to live by that worldview. But we don't often just come out and talk about it. I've obviously shared with people, but it's not, something that we just are very much like hitting the streets. So this part is a little uncomfortable for me, but we were having a rough go of it. And I think we had started, I think I was like, okay, do we need to go to a couples therapist or just to talk or find a safe space? The wild thing to me was I felt like it brought us closer together, like in our relationship. It definitely did not rip us apart or anything like that. I really feel like we got closer through that grieving process. We're at church, I think probably one of the first Sundays, and they were like, hey, we got this new kind of program. It's like intercessory prayer. You can kind of go in. It's basically like a therapy session, and they pray for you. It's kind of the way it was explained. And I was like, okay. And I grew up. Is it
called like healing
prayer
or something?
That's right. Healing prayer. And wonderful people. Like you and I grew up, very like conservative Baptist. You were Presbyterian. So like movements of the Spirit were not exactly something that we were familiar with, or like speaking in tongues, or all of that was very foreign. And
praying something not from like a liturgy or an old book that, somebody opens up and turns to page 326.
Yeah. Or praying over someone for an hour. It was just not something that we had ever, not that we pray out loud. It's not that. It's just not something that we had ever really done or experienced.
Well, I feel like throughout our marriage, my thoughts and feelings towards that and everything have definitely expanded from my Presbyterian upbringing. We'll say that. Yeah. I still can't clap on beat, but yes, this was kind of this is a little bit out there, but I think I was open to it. And I think more than anything, if this was something that you felt passionately about doing, then I was totally fine with you doing it.
Well, that's the thing. So I was like, I have to do something. Anyone who knows me, like I'm a doer.
Yes.
Like I'm like, I have to do something. I can't just sit here and be in my mess or whatever. So like, I'm going to sign us up or sign me up. And they're like, well, we want your wife to come too. Cause they asked like what you're going to be talking about, what the subject matter of the healing prayer is. And so I told them, and they're like, well, we want your wife to come too. And I said, okay, that's great. So here, I think they're gonna walk us into a room, be there together. They're gonna pray over us. We're gonna feel better about things. We're gonna move on. But when we get there, we find out that they're separating us.
Yeah.
So like you went into one room and I went to another room, and I knew the two people who were praying over me just from volunteering in the church. I don't know if you knew the people that were praying over you or had met them. So I guess I would just say, like, before I talk about my experience, what was your experience like in that hour that we were there?
I think it was still really raw, so it was still hard to talk about everything. And they asked me questions, but then it was like reading scripture and then just like praying things over me. I remember they anointed me with oil. Marco was like doing a dance. And it was like a moment that was helpful to like renew my faith and to hear the like affirmations of what the Bible says. And that was really, it was good. And it was not as like weird as maybe what I thought it might have been. And I hate to say it like that, but some of the church things do get kind of weird sometimes. But it was just kind of like confirmation of what the Bible says. And then I think talking about God's character and God's nature through God's word was important to be reminded of, and then to like be encouraged by other people's faith in it. It was good. And I remember walking out being like, I feel lighter. I feel a little lighter. I feel like I left.
Yeah. I think from my experience, I had never really done anything like that. I mean, if you know me, I'm not a huge like, let's go around and everybody pray, in a big huddle group like we used to do at church camps and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just a prayer contest, and like, could we get on with this? Could we get to dinner kind of thing? Like, anyway, that's just me and my own personal issues. But I went in. I think there's not many points in my life where I felt like I was completely out of control of anything. I feel like I've always been someone that makes a plan and executes a plan. And like part of my job is to put in like contingencies upon contingencies about how things are going to work. And we were so far down the rabbit hole of out of control with me. And I was just sad. Like, it was the stages of grief. Like, I mean, I wasn't like eating my emotions or drinking my emotions. Like, I don't think,
I mean, maybe we both were a little bit, but it was just
a gut punch. There's no other way to put it. Like, just out of nowhere, TKO. So I go in, and one of my really good friends is praying over me, and I kind of wanted him in there. And, we talk about it, and I haven't done any real therapy in my life. So we're talking about it, going back and forth, and we talk about it for a little bit, and they'll pray for a little bit, and talk about it for a little bit, and pray for a little bit. And I don't know. This is probably going to sound really strange and weird. I haven't putting this out there. I haven't really told. There's a few people that know this, but not many. It's like during the prayer, my friend is really praying for me, and I don't know. I think my whole question through that whole process was, does God care? Does he care? Like, how could he do this if he cares about me? How could God do this if he cares about me? And my friend was praying, and he asked me a question. No, he didn't ask me a question. He said, God's telling me you need to go where he is. If you want to find him, go where he is. And I was just like, what in the world? Like, I don't know. It's like, why do I have to go to him? You know, it's like he did this to me kind of thing. Just stupid, childish response. And I had written this crazy screenplay thing. And there's a scene in it where Jesus and Lucifer are having a conversation in the desert.
Maybe back that up a little bit. I know you're leading the conversation, but the screenplay, it's like you've taken these like college level theology courses, and it's fascinating, and I feel like you're understanding the Bible and God on this like very deep level, and wanting to have these creative mediums like a screenplay or whatever it is to be able to share something that's relatable for people. And like that was your heart and the intention behind that content that you were, working on. And it's fascinating.
Yeah, the idea behind it is what happens in the 3 days between when Jesus dies and Jesus like raises from the dead, which is like the impetus to start it. As I've worked with theologians and found out like there's some other stuff, but it's basically, Jesus raises from the dead and then he's here for 40 days. And my whole thing was, if Jesus and Lucifer have a conversation, what would that conversation be? Like, Lucifer thinks I've just conquered God once and for all. Jesus comes back. What would they talk about? Yeah. And that's the conversation I have. And so then the whole thing is kind of a foreshadowing of the 40 days in the desert where Jesus was tempted by Lucifer. So I had written the majority of it is the two of them sitting at a table in the desert talking. And maybe it's sacrilegious or whatever, but they're enjoying some wine and having a real interesting but deeply theological conversation about the events that had happened. Anyway, so that sets the groundwork for all of this, I think. Does that accurately?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I will preface this with like, I don't think I've ever like had a out of body experience. I don't think I've ever heard like the voice of God. But something happened when I started thinking about God says go to where he is. And it's it's crazy, but it's also kind of hard to talk about. And
I got a tissue for you.
Thanks. In that moment, I'm like praying, I'm thinking about it, and I went someplace else. Not physically, but mentally. I was in the desert, in that scene. And I was sitting there across from Jesus. And there was a bottle of wine on the table. And he pours me a glass of wine. And it says, everything's going to be okay. And I remember looking at the bottle of wine, a nice Bouton Rothschild, and it said it was a 2026 vintage. And that was it. And I was out of it. And what seemed like seconds to me was several minutes to the people that were in the room. But in that moment, I know it may sound weird or overly spiritual or whatever, I had never experienced peace like I did. That was the answer. And it just seems so simple, but it was the way I felt. I'll just never forget that. And it wasn't like there was hey, here's the 10 steps you're going to need. Here's where your path leads. There's none of that. Because I think I had been talking about buying vintages for the kids' birth years or whatever. So to me, it was very specific to me. And I think that is what made it feel so real. Whether I had a vision or whatever, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I met, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think, because you hear pastors are like, oh, Jesus like appeared to me, or I met, and like, I don't think that was what it was.
Well, I feel like if you're going to have faith in God, you have to believe, or like, isn't part of it believing that God is speaking to you and does care about having a relationship with you?
Yeah, I guess I just don't think it didn't feel like this huge thing in the moment. It felt very personal to me. I'm not going to go write a book on like when I met Jesus kind of thing. But
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Maybe I'm not articulating that the right way, but it was just, I don't know. I remember, I mean, you were there. It took me a while to kind of process everything. And yeah, like, and I'll be honest, we've had other setbacks and roadblocks through 2025, and 2026 is very unclear on how things are going to be and how clear things are going to be professionally, personally. But I have this peace because I just keep going back to that. And 2026, everything's going to be okay. 2026, everything's going to be okay. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. We've talked a lot about that. I don't understand why we had to go through the miscarriage. I don't understand why things had to happen the way they did. You know, I don't understand why we found out about the, miscarry like days after we signed on the house and all this stuff. Like, I don't know. But I have that like foundation of 2020, I can't even say it, 2026, everything's going to be okay. And about a month later, a little over a month later, found out you're pregnant again.
Yeah, I feel like that prayer meeting was huge for you. And not that it wasn't like good for me or whatever. It was just kind of like I felt like a little bit of a levity walking out of there. But I feel like you had an anvil taken off of your chest as far as like what you were carrying and feeling. And then I think you've been able to have more of a deep-rooted hope that's definitely helped me, especially because we did find out, I mean, the second opportunity we had to get pregnant, like we did, and the first one you were out of town for. So it was like incredible that we got pregnant so fast. And I think we were both really excited. I think I was especially tempering my expectation and not allowing myself to get too hopeful or excited too soon. And I lived in paranoia and fear. And
you were waiting on the shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And I remember a conversation. I don't know. I don't like go after you too much, but I do remember saying, I can't live like this. I can't live in this state of fear. I have to be happy. This is probably a month or 6 weeks, probably even before we started telling people.
Yeah.
And
we waited to tell people, and I didn't even want to tell people.
Yeah, but we were going on a family vacation with 90% of your family, and I'm like, you can't hide this. Like, they're going to know, so we're going to tell them. And everything has been great and wonderful. And I said, as we said earlier, we didn't really enjoy it the first time around. We didn't have the cool pregnancy stories. And I was like, I just felt like we had been given a second chance and we were letting it pass by. We were letting our joy be taken by something that had happened. And I was like, everything's not okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
I think one of our friends had said something like, it's okay to get excited.
Yes, that was our friend Paul. He was like, it's okay to be excited, and it's okay to be heartbroken at the same time. And that really felt like, I think for you, it was like, okay, I can be two things. Like, if they're not, I can be one without the other. We don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I hope, well, number one, this is helpful for me. I hope it's helpful for you. I know this is like your worst nightmare. But I really hope it helps other people. And that's really our motivation for doing this.
I wish that I had like that beautiful, neat bow that I could wrap on the experience where I could say it was really awful, but then like something incredible came out of it. And not that like being pregnant now and all of that doesn't feel like something incredible. And I feel like the joy of being pregnant and all of that on a totally different level because of what we've been through. But it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it takes it away. Like the pain of it, it still feels really raw and fresh and all of that. It's hard. And I don't know if that's like the whole point, is that you just don't get total clarity on this side of heaven. And I feel like other people say that, and I always kind of brush it off. Or if I could say it to someone else and be like, there's some things you're just not going to understand.
Yeah.
It's hard to internalize that. And I don't know if this is just like a lesson in that for me.
Yeah. I've always felt like we've had periods in our life where things didn't make sense, but then inevitably whether it's fairly quickly or down the road a ways, you see like, okay, I understand why that happened and why that had to be that way. We have not gotten that yet with the miscarriage.
Or it just feels so, I don't like having a grandparent with dementia or something like that feels unfair and sad and awful. At the same time, having a wonderful relationship with my grandma, and like there's so much good that I can find in some of those like even hard situations and hard things that we've been through in life. But this one, I can't see the good, and that's hard.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's the point. I don't know. It's like, I think of like Job, and I feel like I've like, tried to study different things in the Bible in this experience, or like Ecclesiastes with like the different seasons of things. And,
That wasn't a great one to read immediately. It's like, everything is nothing matters. It's like,
I kind of liked it. I weirdly liked it.
He gets to the point. But like Solomon's wrestling with that too. It's like he's the guy who got everything he ever wanted and he was miserable.
Yeah.
So he's like, what's the point of it? And maybe the point is the point was we needed to have a closer relationship. Like to really, I feel like we're successful, independent people, and we don't necessarily rely upon other people. for much of anything. And A, it forced us to ask for help because we needed help. And B, it's like we had to fight for the relationship, if that makes sense. It's like we had to seek after, what does all this mean? And obviously we still don't have the answers to that, but we're at least on a journey. We're on and we're getting closer.
I would say it did bring us closer together. And as much as I hated every second of it, I asked for help and I shared my feelings, even hard ones.
Yeah. Just, kind of wrapping up, 1 in 5 pregnancies end in miscarriage is 20%. It's crazy. And it's actually a little bit like higher and different the way you spin it, but that's like the base one. And infertility has increased 84% since 1990.
I think people are starting their families later on, which doesn't necessarily make it easier.
Yeah, the 35 to 39 age bracket is the most affected. But that's when a lot of people are starting their families. As I said, when we lived in New York, and I had this conversation with a New Yorker the other day, it's like, you don't even consider getting married until you're 30.
Yeah.
And then it's probably more like 35. And then that's when... And I don't know, maybe we kind of fell victim to the lie of things today where it's like, you don't need to have kids, or kids are a bad thing. Kids are going to prevent you from reaching your goals and being the best version of you. I feel like that is a message, like, I don't know, I'm a guy saying this, but that's a message I feel like a lot of women are hearing these days.
Totally. Yeah, I absolutely hook, line, and sinker fell for that one.
And I would counter with our experience is like, I don't think our professional lives really were as fulfilled and enriched until after we had Eliza. I know that for a fact in mine.
Yeah.
Even with, what most people would call a decent amount of success. So it's obviously something that's a major issue, and no one talks about it. And that's why we're here, because I want to encourage other people. If this is your story, you don't have to suffer in silence. Talk to someone, talk to us, talk to people at your church, talk to people in your family. I think people aren't going to think less of you. They want to help you. I think genuinely the people that care for you want to help, and they want to be there for you when you go through things like this. And I know I'm eternally grateful for the people that I talked to and shared their story. It made me feel better about things and let me know that, hey, you're not alone. But then every one of those conversations, they're like, man, I wish I'd have had this conversation with somebody sooner. I know you don't necessarily subscribe to that.
And I don't know, maybe that's just a personality flaw that I'm still working through. If there's a hard emotion to feel, I want to be the one bringing the casserole and baking the cookies and extending the hand to the other person. It's really hard for me to ask for help or to be vulnerable in those moments because I don't like to be on that side of it. And this has been very humbling for me to have to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's necessarily, it's been like a point of pride for me probably to feel like I have it together enough to be able to help somebody else. And I probably just need to accept the reality. And also, I feel like there's this like weird lesson that I have to sit with for a while of what is faith and what is belief. And I think a lot of it is not having all of the answers and not having it totally worked out and still pushing forward in being open to God and being open to God being good, even if I can't understand everything and even if I can't see everything working out perfectly in my limited perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
But so the podcast is supposed to be extraordinary stories from ordinary people. I don't know if our story is extraordinary, but I feel like it's definitely I don't even know how to say it. Like, you do have to hear basic stories from people, and every podcast can't be the mountaintop.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think for me, it's just extraordinary has a lot of kind of different definitions, so to speak.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to blow up your title either because
Wow.
I liked it. Sorry.
Wow, blowing up my title. It's just ordinary people, because that's what everyone wants these days. Everyone says they want authenticity, and that's what people want to listen to and they want to watch. And
Really?
that's what I know. It's very foreign to you. But that's what people want. I mean, as much as I talk to people and research and everything else, and
I like authenticity. I think it has to be genuine.
you like a very carefully curated authenticity.
I do.
And
I don't know if that's
that's
good or
not
bad.
meant to be a criticism. That's just where you're at. And I'm proud of you for, like, you cried in public. You shared something that was very difficult and you're still struggling with. We're both still struggling with it. And I know for you, I'm sure as Margot is about to make her entrance into the world, it brings up a lot of, it just scratches that wound a little bit, and from time to time I feel it too. And, as much as we're already in love with Margot and can't wait for her to come, we're also wondering, like, well, why her? Why not the other one? Or,
Yeah.
Was it a boy? Or all these things that you just ask yourself. And
Is the other shoe about to drop?
yeah, is something bad going to happen? I mean, there's just all that. But I think for me, I just have to hold on to everything's going to be okay, because I can't navigate it otherwise. I'm not smart enough or have the emotional depth to process it otherwise. And I don't know. I don't want to cry on a public platform either. But it's still a learning experience. It's still something we're dealing with. We're still going through it. And it's like, we're really just here to help. And like, we're not professionals, even though you thought you were going to be a marriage counselor. We're not professional counselors. This isn't like this is what you should do. Like, we're just sharing our experience and trying to say, get help, talk to somebody. It can be professional. It can be your friend. You don't have to suffer alone. God loves you. I know we've struggled. Does God care? But he does. And we've seen that. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be mad. And yeah. But I think that's what is cool about, there's so many bad things about social media. Like, it's terrible. But one of the good things is that you can connect with people who have had a shared experience. And ultimately, that's going to make you stronger. And as much as it can be isolating, I'm hoping that this conversation will at least allow some people to say, hey, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to talk about these hard things. Because here's two people that definitely do not want to be having this conversation. And never intended to.
Yeah.
So thanks for being part of my podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't have much of a choice in this one.
That's true.
You kind of wore me down.
I did. Anything you want to say just as in a wrap up? I know you have your journal and notes here that you kind of wrote while you were going through everything.
It's honestly, I could burn this and it would probably make me happy. I had to process it. And I think writing it down helped me maybe a little bit more than like conversation.
Sure.
And I know that we kind of dealt with it a little bit differently. And I think, I don't know, I long for reason. And I don't know that we would ever necessarily get it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like
maybe that's the point.
I think that that's probably kind of the point. But it has brought us closer together, and I think learning how to ask for help or even talk about something hard instead of just pivoting to something happy.
Yeah. Or just if something bad happens, it's not because you did something wrong.
Yeah, that's hard. That's really hard. I think my nature is more of the Enneagram 3 achiever and Enneagram 2 helper. And I want to like fall into those personality types, and I want to show other people the good things that I can do, or like if I do go through something hard, to have a map of how to get out of it. And I don't know that I have that navigated yet.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing. I love you.
I love you too, honey.
If I was going to go through this, I'm glad I went through it with you. And I'm excited for little Margot.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks everyone for listening. Probably hitting close to 2 hours now, but thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and send this to someone that you think it could help. Nobodees Podcast.